Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here today, once again, we've talked to him before, with Chris Allison, who is the Tourism Australia's Acting General Manager and Regional Director for North America. Now, Chris is here this time to talk about some brand new programs, or actually revamped programs for Tourism Australia and things going on. Now, you can't go to Australia right now, and we're going to talk about that, but we're going to look forward to going there hopefully by early next year. But we're going to find out about that and a whole lot of different ways you can sell Australia today on Insider Travel Report. How are you and where are you?
James, thanks for having me again. It's been a little while since we last chatted. So, still here in Los Angeles, and for those that are based out here that are listening to this, like most of the country, we've been fortunate to have some of our restrictions lifted now, and things feel relatively normal. We've seen mask mandates brought back in this part of the country
Right.
to help keep people safe, which is awesome. We've also, from our team, we've also been able to get back to the office a couple of days a week as well. So it's been great for me to be able to bring our team back together for the first time since last March when we left the office. So it's good to see my colleagues and team members again in person and get back to collaborating and doing all the great work that we do together.
No, that's great, and I think everybody is starting to like that. That even though we've had a few setbacks here and there, we seem to be getting through these eventually. Let's talk about Australia. Let's talk about the status of travel to Australia right now. Right now, I know you can go to Australia, but you have to quarantine. Is there any sense of when you may reopen to travelers without quarantine? Any kind of idea when that might happen?
Yeah, so I guess there's been, since we last talked, there's been a number of things happen. So I guess just in terms of addressing what's happening right now, so there's no change right now today in terms of the current protocols for Australia. So Australia is only open to Australian returning residents at the moment. We have fairly restricted arrival caps at the moment. In terms of how many returning Australians can be let into the country. But we still have access to direct air service from our partners at United Airlines and Delta Airlines at the moment. So for those that need to get back that are Australian based here, there is avenues there. We've also, in Australia, like we are seeing in many other parts of the world, with the growth of the emergence of the Delta strain, Australia's been really successful in terms of suppressing COVID until this point, but the Delta strain has really disrupted our progress in that regard. So, right now, many parts of the country are unfortunately still on lockdown at the moment. So that's challenging for folks based down there, and it's also challenging in the very immediate future in terms of how we might look to reopen the country. But despite that, there's been lots of positive news coming out of our government over the last couple of months in terms of how the country is going to reopen again, what it will take to reopen the country again. So I'll just kind of recap that for everyone in case they haven't seen the information. So basically, earlier in the summer, so back in July, the Australian government published its 4-phase approach that would see Australia move from a strategy of trying to suppress COVID and keep it out of the country, to moving the country into an environment where COVID is managed like any other infectious disease, such as the flu. So it was great to see that plan published, and those pathways ultimately go from where we are today to the final phase, which is the broader reopening of the economy, and importantly for us in this industry, the broader reopening of international borders. So it's good to see that pathway. In addition to that, the government has now also published, based on medical advice, the vaccination thresholds that it will take to allow each of those phases to progress. So to progress from phase 1, where we are today, to the next phase, the target vaccination rate for the adult population is 70%. Right. And then to move from phase 2 to phase 3, the target vaccination rate is 80%. So we've got some really clear guidelines now published against each of those 4 phases. And in terms of where we're at today, when we're talking, so as of today, 66.2% of the Australian population has a single dose of vaccination, so the population being over the age of 16, and 41.1% of the adult population are fully vaccinated. So we've really seen a significant acceleration of the vaccination program take hold in Australia over the past 2 to 3 months. So it's been really positive to see that momentum, and the indications are that we'll reach the 70 and 80% thresholds sometime before the end of the year or into the very early new year at the latest. So in terms of timing, we're really moving towards those thresholds, which is really exciting to see, particularly for our folks based in, our folks in Australia, because it will allow domestic borders to open again and allow that freedom of movement again too. So that's where we're at. The government is working super hard behind the scenes in terms of establishing what the protocols and requirements will be for international guests to travel into Australia again. So we don't have that information at the moment, but I would say it's probably safe to assume that in the immediacy of borders reopening, much like we have in other countries, there'll be some type of testing protocols in place and likely requirements for proof of vaccination for people to travel into Australia again in the very immediate future. So I would say we will expect to see more information on that coming out over the next number of weeks. So we can definitely update everyone on that when we have it. So, and I think the other thing as well we've seen over the last month or so, we've seen Qantas announce their intent to restart international services into North America from the middle of December.
Wow, that's great news, yeah.
Which is good. So it's great to see them kind of making their decision on when they think folks will be able to travel again. And then also more positively for us, we've seen a real change in tone from the government in terms of how they're talking about moving towards opening again, and which countries they are considering in terms of initial countries to open safe travel lanes between, and the US is part of that conversation now. So that's really exciting for us and exciting for all of our partners out there, and importantly our customers who we know are desperate to get back to Australia at the earliest opportunity.
Absolutely, and then but you've been kind of using this time to good advantage. You just really relaunched one of the original travel advisor training programs, your Aussie Specialist program for advisors. Tell us a little bit about what you've changed in this program, the new one, the Revamped.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, we've been really spending a lot of time this year really trying to make sure that we provide tools and resources to our agents in all of our key markets that are going to keep them engaged in what Australia has to offer, keep them upskilled in what Australia has to offer, despite us being closed at the moment, to make sure that we have a really active and engaged sales force, I guess, out there ready to actively promote and sell Australia again at the earliest opportunity. So, as you say, the Aussie Specialist program is a cornerstone of that. And we've been spending the last year, to be honest, really taking a look at the Aussie Specialist program in terms of what it does, what we're trying to deliver, and also spending a lot of time with agents and asking them what they like about the program, what they value from destination training programs. So all of this research has led us to relaunch the platform. It was launched about 4 to 5 weeks ago now. So it's available in all of our key markets. Our agents in North America have access to it now. And the key elements of why we decided to relaunch the program and what we've changed based on the feedback from our valued advisors is really around 2 or 3 key things. So one is around making the learning easier to achieve. Right. So what we've done there is we've really focused on implementing what we call micro learning modules. So smaller modules, easier to consume, easier to get through. And by doing that, it provides agents an easier and more seamless pathway to move through the program, and in the initial stages ultimately become qualified as an Aussie Specialist, which is what we are encouraging people to do. The other key piece we've layered into the training program is once you become a qualified Aussie Specialist, you now in the new platform have access to a whole range of different, what we're calling learning curriculums. So based on your particular interest or specialism in terms of what you might specialize for your clients. So for example, if you are more focused on adventure, there's an adventure curriculum where you can deep dive into all the adventure offerings in Australia. if you're more focused in the luxury and premium element for your consumers, there's a dedicated luxury training pathway that you can go through, which deep dives into all of the luxury offerings in Australia. We also, of course, have all of the state specialist modules as well, so you can learn at a broader level all the kind of core and broader offerings that each of our different states and territories have to offer in Australia. So it's really trying to provide more tailored learning for agents as well, depending on their type of specialism that they offer. And then the other thing that we've also brought into the platform is the opportunity for Aussie specialists to engage with each other. So one of the key pieces of feedback that we got in our research was that agents like the opportunity to tap into each other in terms of their own knowledge and resources. So we've provided what we call communities in the Aussie Specialist program now, so that people who are qualified in a particular area, so if they're like a luxury specialist, for example, and they'll become part of a community where they can reach out to other luxury specialist Aussie specialists, and have an avenue to communicate with them and share and do some peer-to-peer sharing and learning there. And then the final element that we relayed in, which I think our agents are most excited about, is we now have a new reward platform in there. So anytime that you complete a training module, participate in one of our webinars, etc., you'll now be awarded points, which go into a reward program. And then you now have access to a reward store that you can redeem your points for a whole range of merchandise at the moment and different things. But we're continuing to evolve what we have available for agents to redeem in there. So I would definitely say that whilst we've launched the platform, there's still lots more to come, but they're kind of the core things that we're focusing on in terms of why we decided to reinvest in that platform.
So there really is a whole new look and feel to the program. The information is there, and even more information, but it's also structured differently by specialty and things like that. So you can really delve deeply into the thing you're interested in, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned the rewards, and that's a new benefit to becoming an Aussie Specialist, but talk a little bit about the benefits overall to becoming an Aussie Specialist, aside from the fact that you're going to become an expert in selling Australia.
So the rewards program is definitely a new one. And I think the other kind of core benefits that we really encourage agents to take advantage of, the one thing that we'll be doing much more of now is keeping the learning fresh. So there'll be always opportunities to learn and understand about new things that we have to offer in Australia. So there'll be a constant opportunity to kind of refresh your own learning. Right. So we have a number of Aussie specialists in the US in particular that have been qualified Aussie specialists for many, many years now, and really passionate about what they sell. So it's really trying to provide continued learning for those types of people as well. We also provide monthly updates through our newsletter in terms of the latest updates in terms of products, etc. We also have a really engaged Facebook community for Aussie specialists as well, which we provide competitions for, different types of updates, different ways to engage with Tourism Australia and our partners. And then once we move to being able to travel again, we always really look at the Aussie Specialist community as our priority in terms of how we pull together familial trips and how we get people down to Australia, particularly if they've not been there before, to kind of experience firsthand all of the amazing things that we do have to offer down there. So there's a whole range of stuff really that we do have to offer there, and we'll be continuing to evolve it over the coming months too.
Now, how many Aussie specialists do you have now?
So qualified Aussie specialists across the US and Canada, we have about 3,000 today. Okay. So it's a really active community, and we're continuing to look around how we can kind of build the community and keep them engaged. And I think it's been really great for us to see how engaged our Aussie specialists have been during the past 18 months, despite the fact that Australia has been closed. And even over the last 6 months, as agents are becoming busier again, which is so great to see, with other destinations, people are traveling again. But despite that, we're still seeing our Aussie specialists continuing to want to understand what we're doing in Australia, what there is there, as people continue to look and plan for future dates for Australia. So that's been really, fantastic for us to see as a destination.
So you would encourage also the Aussie specialists who have taken the course in the past to really go in and take another look at what you've done now, so they can get updates and become part of the greater community, right?
Yeah, that's right. So even for our legacy qualified Aussie specialists, I think if they get into the new platform now, they'll find access to new training modules and some different things, and they'll have access to the reward store, which is new. So definitely, highly encourage our existing Aussie specialists to get back into the platform if they haven't done so already, and make sure they kind of poke around in it and understand what's new and take advantage of all the new learning opportunities that we have in there too.
No, it sounds great. And it sounds like you want to be part of the community, keep going and finding more stuff that's going on. Now, the Aussie Specialist, the revamp of this program is not the only thing you've done. You're also launching what you're calling an Australia Global Summit, I believe, in November, which I think is November 16th to be exact. Yep. What exactly is this virtual event showcase? Who should attend, and what will they get what will they find when they go to it?
Yeah, so the Australia Global Summit, as you say, is happening in November the 16th for North American based folks. It's a new initiative for us, and it's really predicated around the fact that we know that, as agents are becoming busier, so we want our agents to be booking, we want them to be collecting revenue, we want them to be sending customers abroad. So agents are becoming busier, but we want to make sure that we still find ways to keep folks engaged with Australia and what we have to offer. And we would typically do, across the course of the year, we do road shows. Over the last year, we've done a whole bunch of virtual events and around training and getting our product involved. But we really recognise the fact now that agents' time is becoming less and less available to participate in in-person events or on the road events, and particularly for us when we're still closed, we realise agents really have to prioritise their time. So the Australia Global Summit is really around providing like a single moment in time this calendar year where we can try and bring agents and advisors together to provide that touch point with Australia and provide some higher level updates in terms of what's happening, similar to what I just shared with you earlier, but also provide a really good deep dive into all of the core offerings that we have in Australia from a tourism perspective, and just remind agents of all the great things that we do have to offer in Australia. Despite us being closed, we do know from our partners that customers are still continuing to seek out information about Australia and look to plan at the moment for trips later in the year where there's probably more assurance that they'll be able to travel. So it's important that we keep folks engaged and updated in terms of what we have to do. So Australia Summit is really about providing that opportunity for people to come in just for 3 hours. So it's a 3-hour event on one day only. It's not over the series of multiple days, and just provide that touch point so that we can really pepper those updates into agents while our borders are still closed. We obviously hope that by November we may have some more specific information to share, which would be really exciting. But regardless, it's a really good opportunity just to come and hear the latest and greatest, particularly from a product and offering perspective in terms of what we have in Australia.
Well, and it does replace. We're so used to going down to Australia for some of your big travel agency advisor meetings, and I used to go for Australia Tourism ATE, the Australia Tourism Expo. So that's really, we miss those, and they have at least a virtual version of that to get us ready, because we're hoping 2022 is going to be a different story, obviously. You also did another thing. Tourism Australia also recently launched Australia 365, which is sort of a global virtual trade hub where you can meet registered buyers, can connect with more than 2,000 suppliers on demand. Tell us a little bit about this Australia 365 and how it can benefit travel advisors here in the U.S.
Yeah, so Australia 365, I guess, is another initiative that we developed in the same context that we just talked about. Agents are busy, they can't afford their time necessarily to come into dedicated training events over the series of multiple days where they get to engage with products. So we've created this platform called Australia 365, which is really providing an opportunity for any advisor, to be honest, to register and sign up to the platform. And in there, they'll have access to 2,000 tourism experiences and operators across the country. that we've curated in partnership with our state and territory partners across Australia, where they can come in, they can engage with these partners virtually, so they'll have access to brand assets, the latest product information. They'll have ability to connect and contact any of these operators if they wish to do so. So it's really providing a platform whereby agents can, on demand, really come in and connect and engage with a really broad range of product offering that we have in Australia. So it's it's bridging the gap between the training that we provide through the Aussie Specialist platform and what you would get if you were attending an in-person or a virtual training event. It's kind of providing that piece in the middle where we're providing a platform where agents can dip in to connect or understand more about particular products at their leisure, basically. Yeah.
No, that's great. And it's another meeting point. So you really got sort of three things going now and getting everybody geared up to really sell Australia for hopefully 22. So these are all great tools to do that. Now, is there anything else you want to tell our audience of about 90,000 travel advisors out there about all these programs?
No, I think we've covered it, to be honest. And I think that, the core thing for us is really, like I said before, we really understand that, thankfully, travel is returning now, not quite yet to Australia, but it's been so awesome just to see how busy everyone is getting again. And James, we were at Virtual Travel Week a few weeks ago, which was my first in-person event, and probably it was for many of us. And it was just so great to talk to the advisors there and just hear how busy they are again, how excited their clients are to travel again. So we know that our advisors' time is less available than it maybe has been over the last year, because people are getting back to business, which is great. So we're really just trying to provide more on-demand options for people to continue to engage with us. And I'm sure people will find once they, if you look at the new refreshed Aussie Specialist program, they'll find some really different ways to learn and hopefully understand some new things about Australia. And do it in a way that doesn't take up significant amounts of time as well. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's one thing I forgot to ask you about. How long does the Aussie Travel Specialist program take now for most advisors, would you say?
So I actually did the new program myself a couple of weeks ago. So if you were to sit down and do it, to become a qualified specialist, if you were to sit down and do it from start to finish, it would take about an hour and 15, an hour and a half to do. But obviously, you don't need to sit down and do it all in one go. There's I think there's 3 or 5 core modules that you have to do to become a qualified specialist. So they're all very consumable. You can get through those in 10, 15 minutes maximum each. So it's not a big investment in time per module to work through. So hopefully we find that agents find that valuable in terms of their time.
Well, we probably need you looking over our shoulder to give the right answers, right?
Yeah.
No, I think it's a very easy. It was a great program. I'm sure the new version of it is even better. So it's really well worth the time, well worth the investment and the time. Now, most important, where can travel advisors go to access this new Aussie Specialist program? What's the URL?
Yep, so it's just www.aussiespecialist.com. So I'm sure we can put it in the notes under.
We'll have it right below there, and it's an easy URL to do. And where can they go register for this Australia Global Summit?
So for the Global Summit in Australia 365, the URLs aren't quite as easy to remember, so we'll post them. We'll post them under. But there's just
send that to us. We'll have them underneath this interview, and tell everybody where they can go for that one. But you can start off with the Aussie Specialist program, and then go to these other great programs. Getting ready to sell Australia again. I can't wait. I miss it. I've been a few times over the years, and I really want to go back. It is so much more to explore there. And I know our travel advisors out there are once again eager to sell Australia for the future. Chris, I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us. A lot of good stuff coming out from Tourism Australia. I got to tell you guys have been very busy during this period. When considering that you really couldn't sell the country right now, which is amazing. And I think you're going to benefit from it in the long run, because of all these wonderful programs you've developed.
Yeah, thank you, James. And I think to everyone out there, I think stay safe, and we appreciate your ongoing support and engagement with Australia at this time. And I'm quietly optimistic that we'll be able to share some more specific information in terms of timelines around our opening over the coming weeks. So please look out for more information from us over the coming weeks for sure.
And certainly by that November Global Summit, hopefully we'll have some very good news.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
Again, Chris, thank you very much. I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.